Why should you be fishing lipless crankbaits this spring? We're going to talk about that.
Welcome back to another episode of 5-Minute Fish Talk.
I just finished my first cup of coffee and I know I'm going to get a second one, but first I've got 5 minutes on this timer here, and you know what that means. Boop! It's time to get real. Very excited today because we're talking about lipless crankbaits. I used to catch a ton of fish on lipless crankbaits, and I realized the other day when I was going through some of my springtime gear that I didn't even hardly throw one in Michigan last year. That's going to change this year because I know these things are going to work in my local lakes. Regardless, today's video we're talking about what exactly is a lipless crankbait, then we're going to get into where you should fish it, how you should fish it, and some of the colors you might want to use. And then at the end of this video, I'm thinking that you might have some confidence to go out to your local lake and catch you a mondo. So first and foremost, what exactly is a lipless crankbait? Well, instead of a normal crankbait, this doesn't have a lip. Go figure. The deal is a normal crankbait floats and it has a bill, and when you pull it, it goes down and it dives. Whereas a lipless crankbait, it's not even really at all the same. It sinks, it has a line tie on the top, and so when you pull it or when you reel it, it comes up. So it's a very, very different action. The one commonality is that it does have a vibration. The difference, though, between a normal crankbait and a lipless crankbait is that because this is so narrow, it has a very tight vibration. And the reason that's important is because of what we're going to get to next, springtime bass fishing. During the colder weather and the colder water temperatures, bass, for whatever reason, really prefer a tight wobble. In my experience and in many other anglers' experience, they like that tight wobble, and that's where a lipless crankbait can come into play very, very well. So that's why during the spring is the majority of the time I can fish a lipless crankbait. I will throw this any time of the year, but during the spring is my favorite time to be using these. Now, where should you fish them? What's great about a lipless crankbait is, unlike a normal crankbait or other treble hooked baits, this, because you pull it up and it rips up very heavily, you can fish this around grass, and that's where 99% of the time I'm going to fish these because they perform so well. Essentially, if you have a big weed bed or you have kind of like the edge of some vegetation, you can throw these down that grass, and if you start to hit the grass, you can rip it really hard, and what that's going to do is it's going to pull free of the vegetation, and these treble hooks are not going to be bogged down. If you start to feel they get bogged down, you can just really rip it hard and it will pull free. That's what's so great about these things, and that's why in some of the lakes that I currently fish, I think this is going to be a really good bait. So, how do you fish them? I just kind of mentioned that. What it really comes down to is there's a couple different ways you can fish lipless crankbaits. You can throw them out there and you can just cast and wind. You can just bring it back nice and slow or nice and fast, whatever you prefer. That works. For me, my favorite technique is to really rip it, reel down my slack, rip it, reel down my slack. And they call that kind of yo-yoing a lot of times, but essentially you're just pulsing it up, reeling it down, pulsing it up, and so on and so forth. And that way it's kind of going like this in the water column. It's just coming up and down, and you can hear these things are very, very noisy. And so what happens is you can fish them pretty aggressively. The fish are going to be able to hone in on them from a very, very long way away, and you're just going to absolutely crush them on it. And because it's got that tight wobble, the fish go nuts in the cold water. Anyways, the next thing that I'd like to talk about is colors. Now, really, there are two colors that I have caught almost all of my fish on. Other colors work, but the two that I personally prefer are this chrome type color. This one particularly is a chrome sexy shad. And the thing with this is, as you can see, I've absolutely beat this thing up and destroyed it. This is so destroyed because I've caught that many fish on it. I don't fish that many other baits just because I don't know why my GoPro just turned off. That was very strange. The other one is a red bait. For whatever reason, that red contrasting against the vegetation that's often green, for whatever reason, they seem to like it. So where am I going to fish the chrome and where am I going to fish the chrome and where am I going to fish the red? I'm going to fish the chrome in very sunny conditions, whereas I'm going to probably fish the red more in the cloudy days where there's lower light. Between those two baits, that accounts for almost all my fish. Yes, you can get away with translucents and white colors and whatever color that you have confidence in, but to me, if you have a chrome and you have a red, you're pretty much set. So, I pretty much covered down on what I wanted to say. I'm not going to tell you that this thing's super complex. Hopefully I'm going to do a video here soon on the water so you can see me actually fish with these things. But aside from that, if you do have any questions, you can just drop those in the comments below. But you know what I'm going to say next, right? Have yourself a fantastic weekend, and we'll catch you next time.